Hey, it's Brett, and this is Brett and Some Books. Today we're continuing The Plot to Seize the White House by Jules Archer. This is Chapter 9 of Part 3. On April 9th, Butler was called to testify before the Senate Committee on Naval Affairs on a billion-dollar naval construction bill. Urging defeat of the bill, he called it unnecessary for the real defense of the United States. In the event of war, he told the committee, he favored abandoning Alaska, the Panama Canal, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. The canal, he asserted, could be destroyed by a handful of bombs. He also insisted that all mercantile ships operated for profit should fly commercial flags, not the American flag. He explained that since his retirement, he had visited 1,200 cities and towns and talked to all kinds of people in all parts of the country. He said, I have a feeling that this bill does not represent a consensus of opinion among naval officers. I have a feeling that this is a grand bluff. Furthermore, I believe that the American people will turn against this bill before any of the keels provided are laid. I cannot prove it, but I believe it is proposed for the purpose of doing somebody else's business. He had used up 15 years of his life, he growled, going about the world guarding Standard Oil tins. And he had participated in 12 expeditions outside the United States, which he considered missions largely in the interests of Wall Street. The whole thing is a racket, he added, and the American people are going to catch up with it. The committee chairman asked if he considered the existing Navy adequate to defend the continental United States. He did, he replied, and hoped that Congress would fix a defense line beyond which the Navy could not be allowed to operate. Suppose Japan tried to invade the United States. Her forces would be so weak by the time they reached the Pacific coast, Butler replied that we could knock her over with a feather. He recommended a force of 20,000-ton battleships that would hug the coasts, and with the aid of submarines, aircraft, and coastal defenses, would be able to stand off any hostile forces that came within striking distance. I am a friend of the Navy, he declared, and I have an anchor tattooed on my chest. But if we go to building up the Navy as proposed in the bill, and loading down the people with the cost of it, the people will turn on the Navy as they did in the 80s, and not a ship will be able to leave port, for there just won't be a dollar appropriated for the Navy. He was joined in opposing the Navy construction bill by 18 peace organizations, including the American Friends Service Committee, the Federal Council of Churches of Christ in America, the National Council of Jewish Women, the Conference on World Peace of the Methodist Episcopal Church, the National Council for the Prevention of War, the Church Peace Union, and the National Student Federation. But Congress turned a deaf ear, and in May, it passed the Naval Construction Act, authorizing a billion-dollar expansion program. Butler's raging hatred of war led him into the same errors of judgment that ensnared the isolationists of America. Like them, he approved of Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain's efforts to buy peace in our time at Munich. Confident that the Nazis could not get through the French Maginot Line, he believed that every Frenchman would fight fiercely to protect his own plot of land against any invasion. The Stalin-Hitler Non-Aggression Pact of August 23, 1939, followed by the invasion of Poland, made it clear that the world was tottering on the verge of another great war. On August 31st, Butler joined Henry Cabot Lodge, Jr. in appeals to keep America out of it at a VFW convention in Boston. There are only two things for which Americans should be permitted to fight, Butler shouted over the whistles and cheers of veterans. Defense of home and the Bill of Rights. Not a single drop of American blood should ever again be spilled on foreign soil. Let's build up a national defense so tight that even a rat couldn't squeeze through. 3 days later, Great Britain and France declared war on Germany. On the same day, the British passenger liner Athenia was torpedoed and sunk without warning off the Hebrides, downing 30 American passengers. That night, in a fireside radio chat to the American people, Roosevelt declared, "This nation will remain a neutral nation, but I cannot ask that every American remain neutral in thought as well." In November, Congress passed a new Neutrality Act that legalized the sale of munitions to belligerent nations on a cash-and-carry basis. The news filled Butler with dismay. "This country," he protested, "did not have one solitary blessed thing to do with the making of this mess over there, and there is no possible sane and logical reason why we should feel any impulse to take a hand in it."